Glen wiped the sweat from his brow and squinted at the golden horizon. The farm was quiet except for the soft hum of the wind through the wheat fields. Life had always been simple here. Days were long, hands rough from toil, and nights spent under the open sky, counting stars. Glen, barely 16, had never imagined that his world could stretch beyond the rolling fields of his village. But that night everything changed. He had been chasing a stray lamb near the edge of the old woods when something unusual caught his eye. Half buried in the dirt was a stone relic, worn and strange, etched with symbols that glowed faintly under the moonlight. Glen knelt, brushing away the soil. The moment his fingers touched the relic, a shiver ran down his spine. A voice, soft, almost a whisper, spoke inside his mind. Heir of the forbidden line. Glen froze. At first he thought he was imagining it. But the whisper repeated, urgent and commanding. Heir of the forbidden line. He stumbled backward, heart racing. What did it mean? He was just a farm boy, nothing more. His parents were simple people. They farmed, traded, and slept early. No one in his family had ever spoken of hidden powers or ancient bloodlines. Glen felt both fear and fascination. The relic pulsed with energy, warm yet heavy, like it carried centuries of secrets. That night, Glen could not sleep. The relic sat on his bedside table, glowing faintly. Every so often, the whisper returned, sometimes calm, sometimes insistent. It seemed to respond to his thoughts, guiding him, pushing him toward some destiny he could not yet understand. By morning, Glen had made a decision. He could not tell anyone, not his parents, not his friends. Who would believe a talking relic? Instead, he hid it in a small leather pouch and set out for the woods again. Something in him knew that the relic was not meant to stay buried. Something in him called it destiny. The deeper into the forest he went, the stronger the pull of the relic became. The air grew thick, scented with moss and an almost metallic tang. Shadows seemed to stretch unnaturally, twisting around the trees. Glen's heartbeat thundered in his chest as he approached a clearing he had never seen before. At its center stood a stone pedestal, cracked and worn. The relic leapt from his hands and floated above the pedestal. And then the whisper spoke again, but louder, more urgent. Place it. Claim it. Know who you are. With trembling hands, Glen obeyed. The relic clicked into place. A wave of energy erupted, enveloping him in golden light. He fell to his knees, shielding his eyes. When the light faded, the clearing had changed. The pedestal was no longer stone. It shimmered like liquid crystal, and etched into it were visions of worlds beyond his imagination. Flying cities, vast starships, beings of energy, and humans leading them. Glen staggered back. His mind raced. Was this a vision? A dream? And then he heard the whisper one final time. The galaxy is watching. They seek the forbidden line. You must awaken. The words sent shivers down his spine. Who was watching? And what was the forbidden line? Glen, for the first time, realized that he was no ordinary farm boy. His life had been a mask, a calm before a storm. Something ancient and powerful stirred within him, tied to the relic and a destiny he could barely comprehend. Glen ran back home as fast as he could, clutching the relic tightly. But the forest had changed in subtle ways. The trees seemed taller, the path winding differently. Even the wind carried a strange energy, almost like it was alive, guiding him, warning him. He emerged from the woods exhausted, but something inside him had shifted. He was no longer just Glen the farm boy. He was chosen. Over the next few days, Glen tried to live normally, but it was impossible. The whisper never left him. Every task on the farm felt distant, trivial. He tried to confide in his parents, but the words caught in his throat. How could he explain a voice in his head, visions of galaxies, and a relic that pulsed with otherworldly power? His father laughed when Glen hesitated to speak, assuming he was exaggerating some youthful fantasy. His mother looked worried, but didn't press him. They knew Glen was different, but even they could not imagine the truth. Then on the third night, the sky tore open. Glen was lying in bed when a streak of brilliant light cut across the stars. It hovered above the village, casting long shadows over the fields. Glen's heart raced. The relic burned warm against his chest, vibrating with a resonance that matched the lights above. Suddenly, the whisper became a voice he could hear aloud. They have come. They know you exist. Prepare, Glen. You cannot hide. Before he could comprehend, the ground trembled. Windows rattled. The air smelled of ozone and something metallic. Glen ran outside, clutching the relic. The lights in the sky descended closer, forming shapes that made his stomach twist. Massive ships, like nothing from Earth, hovered silently over the village. Shadows moved inside them. Humanoid but not human, observing, calculating. Glen realized in that instant that the relic had marked him, not only as heir to a forbidden line, but as a target. He could feel their attention, cold and invasive, searching for the power that had slumbered in his bloodline for centuries. Panic rose, but so did determination. He might be a farm boy, untrained and untested, but he was human. And humans, as the whisper had promised, were capable of extraordinary things. The village slept, oblivious, while Glen stared at the sky. His life, as he had known it, had ended. Ahead lay uncertainty, danger, and a galaxy that would not wait. But Glen also felt something new. Purpose. The relic had chosen him, and whatever came next he would face it. Not as a boy, not as a farmer, but as the heir of the forbidden line. And somewhere, deep within the stars, eyes watched, measuring, waiting for the moment when Glen would awaken. Glen didn't sleep that night. His eyes were fixed on the stars, trying to understand what had just happened. The ships that had hovered over the village were gone, but their presence lingered like a shadow in his mind. The relic pulsed softly in his hand, a comforting warmth against the chill of fear. He knew he couldn't stay in the village. Not anymore. The world he had known, the endless fields, the quiet nights, the simple routines, was gone. The moment the relic had awakened, so had the dangers. Morning came with an eerie calm. Glen packed what little he could carry. A satchel with food, water, a few tools, and of course, the relic wrapped in a cloth. He left a note for his parents, though he doubted they would understand. I have to leave. I'll return when I can. Trust me, it read. As he walked toward the edge of the forest, the whisper returned. This time, it was stronger, clearer, and almost commanding. You are ready, Glen. You are not just the heir. You are the spark that will awaken humanity. Glen shivered. The weight of those words settled heavily on him. Spark. Awakening humanity. It sounded impossible. And yet, deep inside, he felt something stirring. Strength, courage, and a strange awareness of his surroundings. He was beginning to see the world differently. The air carried subtle vibrations, small shifts in the soil, whispers in the wind. It was as though reality itself was speaking to him, telling him secrets he had never noticed. Hours passed as he moved through the forest, following an instinct he didn't fully understand. And then he reached a cliff overlooking a river valley he had never seen before. The view took his breath away. The valley stretched for miles, dotted with strange plants that glowed faintly even in daylight. The river shimmered like liquid silver, reflecting the sky in a way that seemed almost unnatural. Glen knelt to catch his breath, and the relic hummed. Suddenly, visions flashed before his eyes. Glimpses of people wielding incredible powers, battles in space, massive creatures of light and energy. One image remained longest, a young man glowing with golden light, standing against a towering shadow. Glen's heart skipped. The young man looked like him. That is your potential, the whisper said. The forbidden line carries the strength of those who came before you. They fought to protect humanity, to preserve what others seek to destroy. Glen tried to imagine such strength inside himself. He was just a farm boy. How could he stand against beings that had invaded the sky just last night? But the whisper continued, patient yet insistent. Close your eyes. Feel it. Let it flow. Glen obeyed. He closed his eyes and focused on the relic. A warmth spread from his chest, radiating through his arms, legs, and mind. His heart slowed, his breathing evened, and then, something extraordinary happened. The world became clearer, sharper. He could sense every leaf, every ripple in the river below, every small animal moving in the distance. He could even feel the presence of other humans miles away. their emotions faintly brushing against his mind. "This is only the beginning," the whisper said. "You are awakening. The forbidden line is in you, Glen. Its power will grow, and so will its enemies." The realization hit him. He was not alone. Others like the beings who had hovered above the village were watching, waiting for him to make a mistake. Some would try to kill him. Some would try to capture him. And some might try to use him. Glen spent the next days in the valley, training himself. At first it was small things, sensing the river's flow, moving faster than his legs should allow, hearing the faintest sounds of distant creatures. Each success filled him with confidence, each failure taught him caution. Slowly he began to understand that the relic was not just a key, it was a guide, amplifying what already existed within him. But as his powers grew, so did the danger. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, a shadow fell across the valley. Glen looked up to see a ship descending from the sky, sleek and dark, unlike anything he had ever seen. Its surface shimmered with energy, almost as if it were alive. The whisper spoke urgently. "They are here. Prepare." Glen's heart raced. He raised his hands instinctively, feeling the energy coursing through him. The ship's hatch opened, and figures stepped out. They were humanoid, but taller, stronger, with armor that seemed fused to their skin. Their eyes glowed with a cold blue light. Glen had never felt fear like this before. But neither had he felt the exhilaration of standing against impossible odds. "Glen," the whisper said softly, almost like a warning, "remember who you are." He squared his shoulders. The first figure lunged. Instinctively, Glen extended his hands. A shockwave of energy erupted from him, knocking the figure back. His pulse raced. The power surged through him like a storm, uncontrolled yet breathtaking. He realized that fear was fuel, and focus was the key. The whisper guided him. "Channel it. Be the line they cannot break." Glen concentrated, and the energy obeyed. A barrier formed around him, pushing the invaders back. They were skilled, clearly experienced in combat, but Glen's raw, untrained strength was unpredictable, overwhelming. One by one they retreated, realizing that this boy, this human, was not ordinary. As the last ship vanished into the sky, Glen collapsed to his knees, exhausted but alive. The whisper returned, proud yet cautious. "You are learning. The forbidden line flows in you. But remember, Glen, this is only the first test. The galaxy is larger than you know, and enemies are everywhere. You must awaken fully, or humanity will fall before its true challenge." Glen looked at the relic, now dim but still warm. He knew the path ahead would not be easy. He would have to leave the valley, travel beyond the world he had known, and face beings whose power dwarfed his imagination. But for the first time, he also knew that he was not just a boy. He was a line of defenders, a spark in the darkness, chosen to awaken humanity to its hidden potential. Night fell, painting the valley in shades of silver and shadow. Glen lay beneath the stars, thinking of the battles ahead, the secrets of the forbidden line, and the voice that had chosen him. Somewhere, far above the atmosphere, eyes still watched him, calculating the moment when he would either rise as a hero, or fall as another forgotten relic of history. And Glen, clutching the relic to his chest, whispered a vow to himself. "I will awaken. I will become the heir. And I will protect humanity, no matter the cost." Glen woke to the sound of the wind howling through the valley. He had spent the night training, focusing his energy, feeling the forbidden line pulse in his veins. Each breath, each heartbeat, seemed to resonate with the relic. He was no longer the timid farm boy who had found a strange object in the woods. He was the spark of humanity, chosen to face the darkness looming across the stars. The sky rippled with strange colors, like molten metal stretching across the horizon. Glen's pulse quickened. He knew this was no ordinary storm. It was the harbinger of what the whisper had warned him about. The galaxy will challenge you, Glen. They will test your will, your heart, your soul. Suddenly, the air vibrated with energy. The relic in his hands shone brighter than ever, illuminating the valley in gold. And then from above, the shadows returned. Not one ship this time, but dozens. Massive, black, and impossibly fast, They descended like predators circling prey. Glen's heart leapt, not with fear, but determination. He remembered the first test, the adrenaline that had surged through him, the realization that humans were more than what they seemed. Now it was time to see just how far the forbidden line could take him. The lead ship opened its hatch, and from it emerged a figure taller than any human, clad in dark armor that seemed to absorb light. Its eyes burned blue, cold and calculating. "You are the heir," it said in a voice that seemed to echo inside Glen's mind. "We've been waiting for you." Glen tightened his grip on the relic. "I don't know what you want," he said, his voice steady, "but I won't let you harm humanity." The alien laughed, a sound like grinding metal. "You are weak. You don't even know your power. Surrender, and we might spare your world." Glen's heart pounded, but the whisper came, calm and strong. "You know more than they think. You are the forbidden line. You are the spark. Focus." With that, Glen stepped forward. The relic's energy flared around him like a golden aura. His body moved faster than thought, his senses sharper than any human should possess. He could anticipate the aliens' moves before they happened, feel the energy of the fleet around him, and even sense the intentions of the smaller ships in orbit above. The first strike came, a blast of blue energy aimed directly at him. Glen raised his hands, and instinctively, a shield of golden light erupted, deflecting the attack. The alien commander advanced, but Glen's newfound awareness allowed him to move with impossible speed. Each punch, each block, each movement felt natural, as if the forbidden line itself was guiding him. Then came the revelation. As he fought, visions surged through his mind, memories of his ancestors, warriors and defenders who had once protected humanity from threats far beyond Earth. They had left a legacy in his blood, dormant until now. Each strike he landed, each maneuver he executed, was a continuation of that line. Glen was not alone. He carried the strength of centuries, the courage of countless heroes, and the promise of a future no one else could protect. The battle raged across the valley. He knew he might never return to that quiet farm, not in the same way. He was now part of something larger, something beyond Earth, beyond human understanding. As dawn broke, Glen began walking toward the horizon, the relic in his hand and the whisper in his mind. He was ready. The universe awaited, full of challenges, mysteries, and threats. But Glen was no longer a boy. He was the heir of the forbidden line. He was humanity's spark. And nothing, not aliens, not impossible odds, not the darkness of space itself, could extinguish him. Above him, the sky shimmered with possibilities. Stars stretched into galaxies he had only glimpsed in visions. Glen felt the pulse of life across worlds, a rhythm that only he could hear. And in that moment he understood. This was not the end of his journey. It was the beginning. The galaxy had awakened. Humanity had awakened. And Glen, the farm boy turned hero, would lead the way.